Hey man, how you doing? It's Rashawn the Dude Dad coming to you with episode 7 of the DeadRong podcast with some unsolicited sports talk. And how about a good weekend starting with last Thursday with this football, man? I was definitely rooting against the Detroit Lions like a hater, and probably most of the people whose teams are in the run for the first place or vying for the first place spot in the playoffs. Not that my team is, but I was rooting against them anyway. Really good game. Unfortunately, the defense couldn't stand up for the Green Bay Packers when it mattered. It was like a 4th and inches, and Jared Goff was going. Dan Campbell went for it on a 4th and inches, which would have iced the game. Or if he would have kicked the field goal, would have still gave the Green Bay Packers some time to potentially win the game. And they call him the Gamble. Dan Gamble, and he gambled right at that moment, and he iced the game. They got the first down, even though Jared Goff tripped en route to handing the ball off. They got the first down, iced the game, kicked the field goal, game over. So I think it's a foregone conclusion right now that the Detroit Lions are probably going to be the number 1 seed going into the playoffs in the NFC. With that being said, I still stand by what I said weeks ago, man, that the NFC North is going to have 3 of 4 teams going into the playoffs. The Vikings look good. I was rooting against them yesterday, hoping that the Atlanta Falcons and Kirk Cousins could potentially do something to expose the Minnesota Vikings, so to speak, because I truly don't believe in Sam Darnold, but he put up 42 points yesterday, and shout out to him. You got to give credit where credit's due. He did good. The defense did what they were supposed to do, which I truly believe that the defense is what keeps that team afloat. Because sometimes when they're not hitting, and they're not hitting on all cylinders, and they're all not on the same page, and they're not looking like a well-oiled machine, that defense gets stops. Brian Flores, again, he excels at being a defensive coordinator, maybe not so good at being a head coach. Going off of what happened with the Miami Dolphins, as far as the information that we've gotten. But yeah, the defense stood up for the Minnesota Vikings, and they didn't let that many points go up from the Atlanta Falcons. I'm wondering if now probably should be the point where the organization is looking like, not saying they're going to move on from Kirk Cousins, but move on from Kirk Cousins and look at a potential trade for him. And if they are out of the run-ins for the playoffs, why not let Michael Penix Jr. get some reps, get some NFL in-season reps at that speed, and see what you really got in your top 9 pick. So that game was good. How about the Dolphins beating the Jets? The Jets have 3 wins with Aaron Rodgers. It's crazy to believe that before he came over, you know how good the defense was playing for Robert Saleh, that you just thought all they needed was a legitimate, real NFL quarterback, which is Aaron Rodgers, and they would be a Super Bowl contender. If you looked at the odds the year that he went over before he tore his Achilles, they were Super Bowl favorites. And to think that he has played almost all 14 games and that they only have 3 wins, they were doing better with the guy they had last year. It's crazy. It's crazy. The Dolphins are looking okay, but I don't think that they're a legitimate threat for the playoffs. I don't think they'll even make it in, even as a wild card. Bills are going to take that division, and we'll see what happens. There's a lot of strong teams in the AFC, but not like the NFC. The NFC, just the NFC North is a juggernaut. So that's that. How about what I would say is the biggest upset of the weekend? The LA Rams beating the Buffalo Bills. The juggernaut that is the Buffalo Bills. They were getting smoked. I don't know if defense was even an option yesterday in that game. It was 44-42. That's like college numbers. So, I mean, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills were down big early, and they mounted an enormous comeback. It was phenomenal, but they came up short. The LA Rams were able to recover the onside kick, and the Bills fell to the Rams 44-42. The reason why I was so invested in it is because at the moment, the Seahawks were 7 wins, 5 losses. 49ers were 5-6. So if the Rams lose, we hop above them and get closer to being the number 1 seed in the NFC West. And again, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that the Rams were going to lose because it's the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. And they've been playing amazing. They've been looking like a juggernaut and a well-oiled machine all season. But when we need these dudes to come through for us, to help us, they don't come through. Thanks, Josh Allen. You guys just beat the brakes off of us, the San Francisco 49ers in the frozen tundra, like 42-10. But you can't beat the LA Rams? I'm not feeling that. Not feeling that, Josh. So another team that I was looking forward to helping the San Francisco 49ers get closer to the number 1 seed in the NFC West was the freaking Cardinals. I'm thinking that I've been looking at them and from afar seeing them competing and looking pretty good when they're playing all these other teams. But when we need your help, my guys, you don't show up. You lost to the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm not saying they're scrubs, but they made y'all look like y'all were not a formidable opponent, and it was just gonna help because if they stay at 7-5, and if we potentially win the game against the Chicago Bears, then we got 6 wins and 6 wins, 6 losses, and they would have 7 wins, 6 losses. And we're closer, but now the Seahawks, they beat the Cardinals. Now they're 8-5, so they're starting to get a little out of reach in that divisional race. But what can you expect? We're still in it, quote unquote. But Brock Purdy looked good. The offense looked good. The defense was formidable. They were getting stops. They actually held the Chicago Bears to 13 points in the first half. I think they only had like 47 yards total offensive yards. You know what I mean? Which credit to the defense or maybe credit to the Chicago Bears offense playing like bums because they was stinking. Saints beat the Giants. I'm the writing's on the wall. Let's just say what it is. They're playing for the number 1 pick, the New York Giants. They're not laying down, but they're not winning. They got 2 wins and a couple of games out. They're trying to get that number 1 pick, and right now they do have the number 1 pick because I think the Jaguars, the Titans, the Jets, they all have 3 wins. So right now it's looking like the Giants, unless they completely just disastrously win the game, like I think it was the Texas did one season. They could have had the number 1 pick and they ended up winning the last game, and that's that. But how about the freaking Steelers? Still looking good. Steelers beat the Chicago. I'm hype about finally beating somebody. We've been losing so bad, you know what I mean? I'm hyped, you know what I mean? I don't even know what it feels like for us to win anymore. It's crazy. But anyway, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they beat the Cleveland Browns, and Jameis Winston couldn't bring that magic that he's been bringing for the past couple of weeks. The Steel Curtain stood up, and the Steel Curtain, guess who they're facing next week? The Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll see who's who. The Eagles yesterday, they didn't look like the Philadelphia Eagles that we've been seeing for all of this year outside of their 2 losses. Well, I want to say even in their 2 losses, no. Even in the 1 loss to the Atlanta Falcons, they looked good. Just was a dropped pass, mismanagement of time, and they ended up losing because the defense didn't stand up and couldn't hold the Atlanta Falcons offense to at least one side of the field or at minimum a field goal, and they still would have won. Yesterday they looked crazy. The defense looked crazy, and barring an incomplete pass and a call, the Carolina Panthers were in there for the upset, and that's the definition of a trap game. You're looking at a team, and the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say they probably were looking past the Carolina Panthers. These guys are 3-9. They ain't really looking good. Their quarterback got benched, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These dudes are going to be a walkover, and you know what? They came to play. They look like they were playing for playoff contention, even though they're not in playoff contention. Bryce Young looked good. He was throwing dimes, and he just kept eluding the pass rush when they needed him to. And he looked good, man. Shout out to him not putting his head down and putting his head between his legs when he got benched in the beginning of the year. He came back. He must have used that as motivation, and now he looks like that number one pick because he was dicing up the Philadelphia Eagles offense. I'm talking about the defense, the number one defense in the league. They were looking good. For the most part. But when the Carolina Panthers needed those first downs, and when they were looking to score and they were trying to take that game from the Philadelphia Eagles, the defense could not hold up. Thank God that guy didn't make a clean catch, and then the penalty on top of that took that game away from them. But that would have been, man, they would have been calling for Sirianni. Says all these pundits that be saying that he's so good and he's a game manager and he's the CEO coach and all of that, man, that wouldn't have been worth nothing. They're already talking about Jalen Hurts and how he can't read defenses all over again. They were just singing his praises for the past couple of weeks, and we got the best quarterback and we're doing what we got to do, and he's making game time decisions and he's running for touchdowns. He looks good. He looks elite. He's back. And now today, Monday morning, even after a victory, it almost seems like they're calling for his heads. They got the torches and the pitchforks, and they trying to say that he can't read a defense. Why isn't he getting the ball to A.J. Brown? A.J. Brown in the press conference after the game is saying we're struggling with the pass and we have a non-existent passing game. Man, all I'm saying is, if you play the way that you're playing on offense against a team like the Detroit Lions, it's not going to be the same script. It's going to be unforgiving because they put up points like it's nothing. They'll go up on a team in the first quarter 21-0. You can't dig yourself out of that type of hole, especially when you got the best running back in the league. When teams are behind, they tend to throw the ball 85% of the time. So how is Saquon Barkley going to get fed if the coaches are saying, oh my God, we got to run because we got to pass because we got to throw the ball. We got to throw the ball and pass because we have to score fast. We got to make some big plays. And that's when all your play calling goes to shambles and your game plan goes to nothing. You're not running the ball. You take it out of Saquon's hand. And if the defense can't stand up to a team like the Detroit Lions, man, you guys are going to fall from grace real fast. So Eagles, man, you squeezed out and squeaked out a win. Defense got to definitely play better, but the offense has got to be able to put together some points or some drives to get that defense some time to rest, because when you're going 3 and out, you got dudes that are 6'4", 6'5", 275 pounds running at a quarterback full speed for like 14 plays at a time. I can't do that, and I'm nowhere near 300 pounds, 6'9". These dudes are running full speed trying to get a quarterback. Play after play after play after play. And if they keep on stringing along long drives, meaning the opposing team, and then you only give them the time that it takes for a 3 and out, and then they're back out there, I don't care how good anybody's defense is, it's going to start to take a toll on them. So the Eagles, man, the offense is their weak point, unfortunately, which is crazy because they got a bomb squad. They got an all-star team. And honestly, I feel like with Jalen's quarterbacking, he's got to forget being a game manager. Some quarterbacks, if you ever heard the term, they throw their guys open. It's like Tua Tagovailoa. He throws the ball before the person even comes out of their slants or out of their route, so that when they turn around, it's a timing thing. The ball is already there on their outside shoulder coming across. They throw it ahead of their receiver so that they could catch it in stride and then go for them yards after catch, them yak yards. But Jalen doesn't do that. It's like he's almost scared to throw a contested ball. If you got to do like A.J. Brown, throw that ball up, man. 50-50 ball. I'm going to put my money on A.J. Brown to come down with that ball. That dude is like a linebacker with hands, and he can run them routes. Throw the ball up. Give it to him. Throw it to Devontae Smith. Let him go up and climb the ladder to get it. These dudes can do that. Those are the type of receivers that Jalen has, and those are the weapons that he has. You can't go for them weak progressions time after time again. And even on that touchdown of Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown was wide open, and I'm sure that on every play he has to be the first read because he's the number one option. He is potentially the second or third best wide receiver in the league behind Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. You know what I mean? So Jalen's got to work on that. He got to work on his mechanics. He got to stop being scared and playing scared. Sometimes you are going to have to be a gunslinger, and if you throw an interception here and there, as long as you're not throwing multiple interceptions in the game, then you're going to be all right. But you got to at least give your chance. You miss 100% of the shots that you never take. So that's that with the Eagles, man. And then in closing, the Chiefs, man, they just always seem to win. I can't stand these freakazoids, man. I'm watching the game, and honestly, I'm looking like, man, They're down 17-16. They've got the ball. I'm just waiting for the refs to throw a mysterious flag to do something to aid and help them with their aiding and abetting that they do for Kansas City. It looks like potentially every freaking game. But you know what? Credit to Patrick Mahomes. I saw him. They usually run this route all the time. It's almost like a read option where the tight end kind of follows Patrick Mahomes out for the boot. And the LA Chargers defensive end, he had a clean hit on Patrick, but Patrick Mahomes hit him with the emergency brake. The ball flew right by him. He threw it to his most beloved target, Travis Kelce. First down, and they just kneeled. Took it down to 2 seconds. Big Red called a timeout. Game-winning field goal. Even though it was a doink, it still went in. It was like off the backboard type win, man. So that's that with the NFL talk. And just to get out of here real quick on a high note, man, Joel Embiid finally came back and played last night. He logged 33 minutes. He had about 31 points. But when he plays, it's almost like the guys forget how to play. Paul George had 12 points. They're all logging in like 40 minutes, 38 minutes, 35 minutes. When the big man's in there, everybody still got to play fluid and still got to share the ball. We know that he's supposed to be the number one option, but in my mind, Tyrese Maxey should be the number one option. He is the future, and everything should flow through him, man. Hopefully, the big guy can stay healthy enough to continue to play so that these guys can be a real legitimate NBA team, because right now they look like an AAU team, man. So, this is Rashawn, man, with a quick dose of unsolicited sports talk in the DeadRong podcast, episode 7. Please like, comment, subscribe, man. We appreciate y'all.